Hi guys, and welcome back to Neil on Sunday podcast with me, Chris, and my beautiful, fresh out the shower, early morning wife, Rebecca. Hi honey, I've just pressed the button and I probably shouldn't have pressed that button.
If you make me do this intro again, I'm going to kill you.
This is the second time I've done this intro and there's a reason behind it. This week guys, we're going to be talking about all the mistakes we've made in business, and this has been spurred on by Laura and Saphira. Sorry, you're just always on my mind. Laura and Saphira's podcast, No BS. And if you don't know, that's out on a Thursday over on Nail Order channel and wherever you get your podcasts. They were talking about some of the mistakes they made in business, and it made Rebecca think, geez Louise, think of some of the things. And we were just talking.
I find it quite hard to think of them.
No,
Not saying that we haven't made mistakes, but I don't see mistakes as mistakes. I don't believe in regret and things like that, so it's kind of hard for me to...
I'm just going to cut to the chase. We have made a huge boo-boo.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to... Right, just for a second. Yep, theme tune. It's great. And everyone recognises it. Everyone says, wow.
Oh, do they? Everyone?
Yeah, everyone.
Everyone. All 200 listeners, yep.
I am going to just let you guys into a secret. This could have been the theme tune.
Yeah. Grinding hard on Saturdays, nails on Sunday. Check the polish, baby, keep them tips looking runway. Solo talk, never bought brush strokes flawless. Nail techs run the biz, you know we the bosses.
Now that is...
Did we not play this as like one of our options? Like
we did, and I don't think people like paid attention to it. I think people thought we were half joking, like, why are you going to have like rap and all this sort of stuff? But
we had the Megan Thee Stallion version as well.
Yeah, we did. I'll play them some other time. But yeah, just when I was listening to that this morning, normally to get us G'd up, we come in and we play the intro music just while I'm setting things up.
G'd. Let's get G'd, guys.
I have to get G'd up to carry this pod. And I played that one this morning, and Rebecca's like, God, we should have been with that one.
I do like it.
The thing is, Laura and Saphira, they've had the opportunity to make their own intro. They could do whatever the heck they want. I'm really giving them free license for a lot of this. I mean, I edit half the crap they talk out, but they could have made a really catchy jingle.
Can I just say how much this new thing
Honey.
upsets me?
Honey.
I why did you do it?
Because it looks
it's
nice and sleek.
in my eyes.
You're
it's in my eye line. So I feel like the only option I'm going to have is to turn this way and turn like this. And I'll face this way.
Okay.
Because this is
for anyone who's listening, what she's talking about is I bought these new mic arms that are more sleek, more aesthetically pleasing.
For who?
For people who are watching on the pod.
Right, excellent. Do you notice, guys? Because I'll tell you what I notice. The fact that it's in my line of sight.
Anyway, we don't need to look at each other because I get to look at you just when I shut my eyes, honey. What, darling, have you been up to this week? Tell the listeners at home, what have you been doing this week? Have you had a good week? Yeah. Honey, last night you said, you know what, actually, I've had a really good week.
It's just kind of average.
Oh.
Flowing.
Flowing?
Not too much stress.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's pretty much a good week, right?
I know, but I do like a little bit of excitement. Yeah, something happening. We do have launches happening next week, though. So
Launches.
So not when this goes out.
Maybe.
I don't know. Who knows? So that's cool.
Lunches, is this?
Launches.
I could do some lunches. What lunch did we have this week that was interesting?
Lunch?
Yeah, I don't know why.
We never have interesting lunch. Pasta and sauce, cheese and broccoli pasta and sauce is about as exciting as it gets.
I see with some of Chris's pulled pork that's been in the fridge for probably 3 weeks.
Literally 3 weeks.
Very nice. Really tasty. I'll tell you something. I feel like I've not stopped this week. Yesterday, the amount of people who were asking me for things, and now also I was changing shelves yesterday. And imagine being, I don't know, 6 feet, 2 meters up in the air, changing shelves with a hammer in your mouth and stuff like that, where you're trying to batter it out because it's far away and all these types of things. And then Saphira's like, Chris, can I give this away? Yeah, sure, Saphira. And I didn't even look, and I should have really turned around. It was only small, but it could have been something big. It could have been a big boy.
Could have been a big boy.
Yeah.
You never know.
So that's always a good way to get something free is ask Chris when he's up a ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the show organisers, I forgot to tell you this, I'm just telling the pod. One of the show organisers, big shows, Manchester, down south, they're changing it all.
To what?
They're moving just like one big show of the year, cancelling Manchester. And they're going to do salon owners.
Is this allowed to be aired?
Yeah, well, it's been publicised, but not heavily. And they were just letting us know, so they're going to do smaller intimate shows. I wonder who told them to go do that. Sorry, niece nail network, that was me. But yeah, they're going to be doing it for salon owners and stuff like that.
What do you mean?
As in, It's specifically for salon owners, not just general Joe blogs,
Not
but more
students,
importantly,
Jesus.
not students, because the students make up, I'd say, more than 50% of the numbers that walk through the
Time
door.
wasters.
And that's a skewed number, and they know that.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're just not doing that. We're just doing it like on a Saturday afternoon, and it's only going to be for...
Also, I think they should make people pay for tickets.
Yeah, because that shows intent.
Correct. Same as niche. Like, it means you actually want to go.
Yeah.
Not just like bringing along your kids, your mum, your granny.
Actually, this pod might actually go out just before niche or niche weekend, potentially.
Maybe.
So if you listen to this podcast and you've not attended niche, do you want to give them a quick rundown?
It is a nail-specific show, a lot smaller scale than like the trade shows that you might have been to in Manchester and London and things like that, but arguably a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. We did the first one last year, and it was great to see all you guys. For us, it's what I'd call a low impact show. It's only 4 or 5 members of staff, which is relatively low impact for us. It can be set up on a Saturday, taken down at the end of the day on a Sunday. It's relatively straightforward, but it's nail techs who we get to meet. Whereas sometimes you get people who own hair salons and they come around and they want to sniff every single cuticle
Well,
out.
it's just more the point, the students. Like, oh my God.
And they want freebies. So they want the cuticle oils that you've got on display for free. And if you don't give it to them, they probably just snatch them. That's what it is.
Oh wow, thieves. Students are thieves now.
Of course they are.
Okay.
Little grubby paws, yeah. So if you do want to come along to niche, grab yourself a ticket.
But this might go out after niche.
I might do.
In which case,
In which case,
You
come
missed
next year. Yeah, okay. Anything else, honey, you've been up to this week? You want to give people a rundown on houses? Not really.
we should tell them about we went to see the houses that you wanted to go and see.
Yes.
And?
The house and outbuildings were a bit of a disaster, if I'm honest with you. The land was beautiful. I mean, we couldn't use it because it's all undulated and has like a weird burn that goes river rapids when
And
it
is let
rains.
to the farmer.
It's let to the farmer. So basically I just let the side down. But it did get us out for a breath of fresh air.
Yes, it did. Excellent.
We put an offer on the house and it was quickly rejected. And there we are. That's what it is.
That's it.
I was explaining to Matt, my friend in Canada, how it works here in the UK. And it's completely different from north to south. I was, again, speaking to Alex about this. Here in the UK, you get, here in Scotland, you get a thing called a home report. Or I like to call it now the bogus report.
You get them in England as well, surely, no?
No.
No. So what, you just buy a house blindly and there could be anything wrong
You
with
get
it?
your own inspection.
Oh,
So-
but hang on.
Yeah,
Right, hang
this
on.
is it. This is when it's now starting to do the cogs turn, right? So in Scotland, when you sell your home, somebody comes along to take the pictures. You're an estate agent, so they list it on like Rightmove, things like that. If you're in America, it's like Zillow type thing. So they list it for you. They take the pictures, and they have someone who's independent,
A surveyor.
a surveyor, come around, who, depending upon how they're feeling, go around the house and give it essentially a valuation based on certain things. So, for instance, if there's a tile missing from the roof, that gets a number 2 instead of a number 1. Number 1's really good. Number 3 needs an immediate
So it's
repair.
1 to 3. 3 is the worst. 1 is the best. 2 is right in the middle.
Yeah.
So they'll do like the windows, the structure, the chimneys, the
Buildings,
floor, just everything.
electrics,
Everything.
plumbing, stuff like that. And they give you what's called a mortgage valuation report at the end of it. And this is the bogus part. Because it says that this property is worth, a mortgage for a mortgage company. And this is how much it's worth. But that's only how much it's worth based on what they think it is on that day, depending upon how they're feeling. I'll tell you something right now. I can walk into that warehouse and be like, that X-Light's worth, £69. Then the next day I walk in and be like, that's worth 169, depending upon how I'm feeling.
Yeah. Also, the houses that we've been looking at the roofs for various reasons can be quite difficult. So one of the house we put the offer in on, it has had its roof replaced relatively recently, like in the last 9 years, I think it was.
9-10 years.
And what I realised from the home report was that you could have had a roof replaced that very day, brand spanking new, but if they can't see every aspect of the roof, they will give it a 2.
And a 2 is a derogatory mark where...
A derogatory mark.
Well, if someone on face value is looking at, like, for instance, when it comes to a home report, I just skip to the section where it just tells you the numbers.
The numbers, and you can look at all the numbers,
Yeah, so if it says like a number 3, then I'll go back and read what the problem is. If it says a number 2, I might go back and read it as well. But yeah, you can have a brand new roof, but because they can't see every inch of it because of where they are, they should just get a drone.
Yeah, they should just get a drone.
But they do have a drone for the pictures.
But why don't they have a drone? Why don't surveyors have a drone?
There you go.
Doesn't even make sense. But anyway,
so because they can't see it, they just give it a 2.
They give it a 2, and they'll put looks like, from what I can see, looks in good condition, but Yeah.
LED flashings need changed immediately. Your slate can only last 100 years.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
They always give themselves a get out of clause. Get out of
But now I'm
jail.
thinking, right? So see in England, if you do your own home report.
It's not your own. So if you're potentially a buyer, I think you pay for someone to do it. Like
Yeah, but then you've got to be really serious. Like we've gone and seen like 11 different houses. So we would get 11 different home reports, or we would just be really.
You would put the offer in contingent on that home report being good. So basically, as a seller, you're thinking to yourself, I best make sure these things are fixed.
Got to be honest, I kind of prefer our way.
No, because then you have much more leeway, kind of like in America as well, where you can go back and say, oh, you want like 500,000 for that? No problem. Well, actually, the roof is probably going to need fixed, so we're going to need to take 25 off of that. That you have negotiating power.
What is the stupid part in Scotland is the offers over thing.
So right now, imagine, let's just take 500, I don't know why I did that, 500,000, right? So say the home report says that house is worth 500,000 here in Scotland. What they do is they say, offers over 465. So you're like, okay, I'll offer 470. Then you go back and they're like, nah, because the home report says it's worth 500, so we want more than that. So why not just say you want more than 500 to begin with? Because realistically, you might be searching from 300 to 500 on one of those estate agent site type things. So it falls within that category. You know, it's just... And then you get taxes on top of it.
The offers over thing is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I think if I was going to say if I was selling a house, I would just do fixed price.
I'm just about to say one thing. I think the oldest house within our demographic that we're looking at, if you toggle it to the oldest house that's been listed the longest, it's a house that's a fixed price. And it's been that same fixed price for a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Is it Ravenswood?
No, that's under offer.
No,
sorry, it's not. It was Grange, it's under offer. It's Grange.
Yeah, Grange.
Sorry. No, this one's at like Giftnick, and it's relatively, like, it's a nice house, and it's fixed at 465, something like that.
In England, they've got, fixed price.
Yeah.
It's asking price.
The asking price, yeah.
We don't have that. We have just offers over. And typically, I'm sure back in the day it was like up to 50% over the offers over.
It really depends. So one of the girls who worked for us, she put an offer on a house about 3-4 months ago, and it sold, she was going to, it sold, she knew it was going to go for more because there was so much interest in it. They looked at the land registry just a couple of days ago just to see what the sell price was. And her kind of price is between like 150 and 200 for like a 2-bed house, terraced house. It went for 30,000 over.
So 20% more
than what the offers or what the home report was.
So
30,000 over.
20% more.
That's a lot more, you know. And she said, I just wasn't willing to pay that. And that's one of the things. It's like, what are you willing to pay for a house? It's only valued really what you're willing to pay for it.
Anything is only worth what someone is willing to pay for.
Correct. And that leads us amazingly on to today's show. I don't know why. I'm just going to say that and hope you come up with something. You've given me a list of things, honey. So today we're going to be talking about Rebecca and I's mistakes in business. Now, Rebecca, I did allude to it. I do think that mistakes do help you to learn more than anything. Sure. And we're going to round this up at the end, just by giving you your thoughts on why we are here today. All right?
I mean, I think we're quite lucky we've not made nothing that I would consider to be a catastrophic mistake in business.
Okay. There's a couple of Rebecca's got written down here. I'm just going to I'm just going to flip-flop around.
Okay, flip-flop. Right?
We're going to start with not having policies in place in the early days. Talk to me about that. Mm-hmm. So when you talking?
It was a Wild West.
Wild West.
When we first started the salon, for sure it was the Wild West. Like there was no policies. There was no cancellation policies. There was no policies. Just no policies.
Nothing. Patch test was patchy. The best.
Patch test was patchy.
I would say that when you trained in HD brows, that's when you were like, oh, I need to do a patch test.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I wasn't doing any brow things before then, but in terms of like knowing about the other treatments in the salon, yeah.
So tinting brows, should you have a patch test?
Yes.
Waxing? Nah.
No.
Lashes in any format?
Yes.
So
well,
glue?
That is a highly debated topic, but depending on your manufacturer of your glue, yes. Okay.
Spray tan?
No.
So why hair dye but not spray tan? Peroxide.
PPD.
Yeah, okay.
Very different things. Lash lift, brow lamination, all sorts of things. It's strange, isn't it, that we don't patch test for nails?
It's strange that we don't patch test for certain things, you know? I guess certain things are just considered safe. For instance, I hate to say this, but nail products are technically, for the most part, considered safe because they're not touching your skin.
They're safe if they're used in ideal circumstances.
Yeah, but that's a lot of BS because
there's a lot of variables in ideal circumstances.
How many nails have you seen? I know I've done a set of nails, not a set of nails. I've done a nail where you know, the gels poured onto the cuticles.
Poured.
That
was nothing to do with the gel.
Honey, it was all to do with the gel. It was a different manufacturer for us.
Okay, cool.
It wasn't online itself, and it was me. And that's another thing, just being honest about certain things. I think that's one of the hardest and biggest mistakes you can make, not being true to yourself and understanding that you might not get things right first time.
Yeah,
you know?
Not understanding your own...
self-awareness.
Your own limits, like your own capabilities.
But
yeah, so in the early days, we had no policies. We had no policies in terms of children. We had no policies in terms of lateness. We had no policies in terms of cancellation, deposits, anything at all. And I do think that was such a mistake. Now, when we moved upstairs, the salon, we thought, right, this is great because it's like it seems like a fresh slate. It was a new premises. It was rebranded. We went a completely different direction. We went a lot more upmarket. And we thought this is a perfect time to introduce a whole heap of policies, and it worked so much better for us.
One thing I will say, if you didn't have the downstairs salon, that's the best way we can describe it to people listening.
That's
the
how we
upstairs
always
and the
talk about
downstairs. So if you didn't have that downstairs salon and didn't have that for 3 years and make tons of mistakes within it, you wouldn't know what policies to implement.
It's all evolution.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's okay. Again, we've talked about this so many times. It's okay to change your mind. Change your mind shows that you are growing as a human being. Somebody who never changes their mind and just sticks to what they know and what they think is best, that's a closed-minded person who's never going to go very far. You need to always be open-minded and realize that you're not always right and that there's room for growth. So yeah, and it really made our lives so much easier having the policies.
Definitely. I think not having the policies, you had no comeback. So for instance, when a kid comes in and pees on one of the chairs, you don't have a policy for that. How do you have a policy for that? And that happened to us, you know? It's like, you know, the staff, I felt bad for the staff afterwards because they didn't know where they stood, you know? If there was a policy in place, they could be like, you know what,
that's
my boss said.
Having policies makes for a much more comfortable environment because everybody knows where the line is.
Yeah.
Well, that's the rules. So you've got to abide by them. If you don't, it's like the Wild West.
It's kind of like training a dog or training a child. Or sorry, not training a child. Giving them the rights and the wrongs.
Training a child is the thing.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
But yeah, having policies, that was definitely a big mistake for us. Or not having policies. But again, like you said, like not having the policies made us know exactly what policies we needed to have.
It's like anything in life. If it annoys you, either stop doing it, get away from it, or something else, you know?
And like we always say, blame someone else.
Not just because.
No, not just because. But if you decide, right, you've had bad experiences, you've decided, I don't want children in the salon anymore or in your space anymore for various reasons. Maybe it's quite disruptive. Maybe they're touching things. Yeah. It's dangerous. Whatever it is. You've changed your insurance company and they're not allowed.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's your space. It's your rules. If you don't feel comfortable saying, I don't want this anymore, then put the blame onto somebody else, and the insurance company is always the easiest one to deal with.
Blame nail order. Just say, their gels are not designed for kids. They're not, but here we are.
No gels are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as possible. So our intro was mega long today because we're rambling on. I'll try and cut it down as much as possible. Here's a good one. Not going with the times and setting up Instagram soon enough.
Oh my God. Right. What I will say about this one is that we were absolute pioneers when it came to the use of Facebook for a beauty business. We were the first people in our area to do it. We were well on the trend and it worked so well for us.
Just to put into perspective, when we moved to the downstairs salon, we had a business before it. I mean, you did utilise Facebook for it. You know, anytime we were on special offers, we put it on Facebook. That was one of the things we did. Mm-hmm. When we moved to that area, we set up a new Facebook. We called it the name of the salon, which made it super easy. So it was a person, the name of the salon. Mm-hmm. That person could go in and comment anywhere. So they could go into a local community group. You know, I lost my dog. You could just slide in there and just put a little price.
You lost your dog? Want your nails done?
Yeah. No. Something like that. But any like buy and sell and community groups and stuff like that.
We really utilised Facebook to the max.
I remember we were like constantly just like finding friends of people because you can friend people being a person.
Yeah.
So we'd friend this person and then the next person and the next person.
We worked out that setting the page up as a person, the Facebook page, was going to give us a lot more in.
Not a Facebook page, Facebook person.
Yeah, setting it up as a person.
As a person rather than a page.
Gave us a lot more in, and we really maxed that, didn't we?
What you have to understand is, at that point in time, Rebecca was qualified nails, but not practicing nails. Not really. You could do nails, but there was other staff to do that. So Rebecca was the headhunter. She was on that laptop. She was chasing people.
Chasing leads, chasing customers.
Chasing leads, chasing customers, putting up special offers.
Yep.
If it was a Tuesday and it was quiet, we were doing half-price acrylic nails, you know? And the thing is, when the non-standard salons at the top of the street were £20 for acrylic
And we had
nails,
so many non-standard salons.
and
around
we
us.
were 25, it's hard to compete, especially when you're paying the staff more and the products were more expensive. All of a sudden, you put it on for £12.50, they come running. They come running. So we utilised Facebook to the max. A couple of years later, Instagram started to really flourish. Talk to me.
It did. And we were like, that's never going to take off.
I think, here's the thing, honey. I knew Instagram was going to take off. I'm sure you did. As soon as Facebook bought Instagram, 2012, something like that.
I don't keep up with these things.
Doesn't matter. But listen to me, honey. I knew it was going to be popular, but we never thought for 1 second, and this is stupid, that it would be popular for nails. And I'll tell you why, because it's just pictures.
Yeah, that was the thing that we were like, it's just pictures, it doesn't make any sense.
But then if you think about it, if your work's really good, that's the best place to
Everybody
show
just
it.
looks at pictures, don't they? When you get a magazine, you just go for the pictures, don't you, really? You don't go for the articles.
There's articles.
I will say back then I was so much more close-minded. And I do think for me personally, it has come like with age, being a lot more, one, relaxed, two, open-minded. And I think just the people that we surround ourselves by, I will say like Laura, as much of a pain in the ass as she can be, I think she has really helped it for me to have my mind a little bit more open. What do you
Yes,
think?
100%. I
Yeah.
always think to myself, every time I open my mouth, should I be saying this? Would Laura be okay with this?
So yeah, I think now I'm a lot more open-minded a person and much more willing to try new things and actually seek out the new things and try and be the first to do the new things. And we were like that with treatments, but weirdly we weren't like that with like social media. So yeah, I think part of it was that we were scared because we had conquered Facebook. We were the first. We were the best at doing it in the area because we were the first. We pioneered it. And then this new thing came along and we didn't know anything about it and we already felt lost. Like we don't know anything. So we were years behind the Instagram.
Yeah.
Years behind.
I would say that 2014 to 2016 is when a lot of big reputable names were jumping on it. And the thing is, you guys were looking at their Instagram thinking, wow, that's aspirational, you know? And then what I would say is around about 2016, 2017 is when you guys started to buck up your ideas and start to post the occasional picture. And the thing is, you organically grew a semi-decent following, especially for the area we were in.
Especially for the time, we'd missed the boat. If I look at businesses like NAF, they are very well known in the industry, not just here in Scotland. I think they're quite well known across the country. Their salon, they really, I think, jumped on that Instagram trend quick and they grew their following fast. Now, granted, they had the help of like the fact that Jamie Genevieve visits it, which obviously really helped when she was like tagging and stuff like that. But what the whole point of this is to say that the people who jumped on the Instagram trend really quickly had such an advantage in terms of growing their following. And then the more people went onto the platform, the harder it became. The same as anything.
It dilutes it. It dilutes your picture because
Yep.
you're not competing with a couple million people. But then when you niche it down to nails, you're only competing with 10 or 15,000 people.
Yeah.
You're now all of a sudden competing with a million people who are nail techs.
Yeah.
You know?
So it becomes so much harder. You have to graft for every single follower.
Not to take anything away from NAF. Like their aesthetic was beautiful when they
Their
did
marketing, fantastic.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. They were very, very good at marketing. Very much like the gel bottle, I think, in terms of the marketing.
Yeah.
Just very, very good. There's nothing you can take away from these businesses. Very, very good marketing.
Absolutely. So, that being said, when we started Nail Order, the first thing we did, get an Instagram. I mean, I remember I said to Rebecca, I was like, as long as we can get Nail Order as...
He's obsessed with number one, domain names, and number two, Instagram handles.
Names are one of the most fundamental things.
How many handles and domain names do you have?
We won't talk about that.
So many.
Um,
Just one for every sort of industry, just in case we change our mind.
Yeah. And we got Nail Order, which was great. So we did that. We set up the Facebook page. We couldn't get Nail Order for some reason. I do actually know why. I've just realised I could probably go in and change that now. So we had to put it as join the nail order because we couldn't get nail order as a company. So we had to get join the nail order, which was one of our hashtags. So we just went with that. That was just it, but the main thing was the Instagram at nail order.
Mm-hmm.
Why the heck did we not do TikTok right then and there? Because
was it even a thing? Was it even in existence?
2020, that's all people did.
Really?
Drank outside in the sunshine watching TikTok.
I wasn't on TikTok. I think the first time that I started looking at TikTok was when nail order started going on TikTok.
So why was it? There must have been a delay of like 18 months before.
I think it was who we had. When we first started nail order, there was me and Chris. And well, it was really mostly just, I was obviously very much still working the salon. We still had the salon. So I was in the salon coming up with like product ideas, but then everything else was Chris. And then we had somebody who worked in marketing. Now the person who worked in marketing, they weren't like really into TikTok. I don't think
but they were really into Instagram and trying to get that really nice
so
aesthetic.
I think because they didn't place much weight on it, we probably didn't place much weight on it.
And it's funny, it was really you and I that did like the first couple
videos.
They were terrible.
But then we got Laura and Jade.
Yeah.
And
shout out Jade if you're listening,
And they were a little bit younger.
Yep.
And really
a lot younger.
Understood. Not than us, I meant than the previous person that we had.
Right,
not that much younger than her. But anyway, regardless, they really understood the whole TikTok thing.
Which the thing is...
and we didn't understand. I can remember seeing the things they were doing, and I'm like, but why?
Yeah,
like
Porqué. It's
Picasso.
Like, this, yeah.
What?
It doesn't make sense. It's not even that funny. But the younger generation have no creativity and imagination, so they like
it. Copy. It's like songs these days, It's just a redo of a redo of a redo.
We were listening to a rap song on the way in here, and the guy was talking about HMRC. It was a rap dance song talking about HMRC, and I said to Rebecca, next they'll be talking about the post office.
Well, they probably already do.
Anyway.
So
off topic. So why did we not get into the TikTok? It was you and I who did the first couple. I think
for this business that we have, right, it would have been different maybe for the salon, but for this business, it's very, very difficult because there's no... Okay, whilst we've got like TikTok shop and stuff now, for the most part, then there's no like direct financial
gain.
Yeah. And when you're a business like this, it's constantly growing, reinvesting all the time, you've really got to think about where you're putting your resources.
Yeah. Paying someone to do jumping about funny games on TikTok, it's not bringing in any money.
Great, we've got a million views. So we were getting 1 million views quite a lot back then. So much easier. Again, back then, much less viewers.
But as soon as we switched over to a business account.
We switched to a business account, mucked everything up.
Yeah, because TikTok wanted to pay.
But all that being said, there's something I forgot to put on the list, and this leads perfectly into this, which is, I think, a big mistake not a mistake, but for me personally, I think something that we did that I'm like, ugh, that was just kind of silly, was putting so much weight on how many followers we had on Instagram.
Yeah.
And growing the following, because we were looking at other big salons around us, not only NAF, but there were others, and who'd got in early and who'd been doing it for years and who'd been working with influencers. What was the other one? There's a couple in Glasgow anyway. And I was like, well, why can't we have that? Which will lead perfectly on to the next thing. But followers, when you're a salon, having 10, 20, 30, 40,000 followers doesn't mean anything. That's not bumps on seats. Those aren't 40,000 customers that are following you.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, I guess that there is more of a chance that there'll be people coming in, but it doesn't equate to financial success. So spending a lot of your energy, time, money, maybe, concerning yourself with how many followers you've got, I think a little bit of a waste of time.
I would say if you're in Glasgow city centre, like you would be in Edinburgh, any kind of major city in the UK, your rent's going to be higher. The place you have could potentially be bigger. I do think that having, say, 40, 50,000 people following you, there's a better chance that you can fill your diary because it's an aspirational place to go. We were slightly different. In the outskirts in Paisley Town Centre, in the outskirts of Glasgow, smaller salon, just in general. I mean,
we didn't utilise influencers. And at that time, the Glasgow influencer scene was humongous.
Huge.
I mean, you've got Jamie Genevieve, who really kind of led it, but probably arguably the biggest influencer probably in the UK.
Yeah. For that type of niche type thing.
For makeup,
beauty,
nail,
hair, makeup, nails.
beauty. And then there's like heaps and heaps of other ones. And I didn't like the whole thing so much, the influencer thing. I've never sat right with it because And it's
Because you don't care.
To this day.
You don't care about those types of people.
I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
To this day with nail order, it's like, I don't want someone advertising our business who doesn't actually genuinely love it, who doesn't use the products. It's fake.
Yeah.
I don't like fakeness.
Yeah. You don't want someone from Geordie Shore just saying, "Oh, I go to nail order because I think they're great." Because I wear their nails, but they never do.
If somebody organically does it, yeah, that excites me.
Of course.
But if it's a contrived thing, no, I have no interest.
Calvin Harris's wife, Vic Cope, she loves nail order.
Well, does she? Does she love nail order, or does she just
Gets
get
nails
those
done.
nails?
Yeah. Okay. There you go. So, I mean, that's.
I don't know if she does anymore, but she certainly did.
She's pregnant now, almost about to give birth. Actually.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
They're having a baby?
Yeah. Adam and yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. There you go. If you don't know who Calvin Harris is, well, you're all.
If you don't know who Calvin Harris is,
Get yourself the
are you alive?
Get yourself the TikTok.
Are you alive?
Anyway, so you were going to say that leads us on to?
That leads us on to caring about what other people are doing. Now, this is something that I can find myself getting wrapped up in. Again, see if I say arguably one more time, a lot less these days than I used to. What I will say first before we start this conversation is that it's important to keep an eye on what your competitors are up to. This is different for nail techs because these days it's much more of a community vibe, which is absolutely fantastic rather than a competition. But it is important to keep up whether you consider somebody competition, whether you consider them a friend, whatever. If they're in the same industry as you, offering the same sort of treatments, keep an eye on what they're up to because it might be a spark boom like we always talk about. You know, they might start doing something that you're like, oh, that's great. Imagine if I did this, you know. Always, again, be growing, be open-minded, willing to try new things. And it's really research and development, keeping an eye on what other people who do the same things as what you are doing, not to an obsessive point of view, right? Checking in once every so often. It's research and development. You always need to be researching and you always need to be developing. Otherwise, you just stood still. And if you stood still, you're going backwards.
I think competition is one of the healthiest things in business.
100%.
In life, actually. If you're running beside someone on a treadmill and you see their times.
Chris and I are naturally, if you can't tell, very competitive people.
Yes.
But was it CAD?
Yes.
What did he say?
I didn't want to bring up names because I was going to bring him into a later date. So I used to run the clothing store that we had, and the clothing store opened at the bottom of the street.
It really scared us. Anytime something like what we had opened up near us, we got scared.
Because it was a small town.
We felt threatened.
Because they were potentially going to take half your customers, you know? And I remember Cad saying to me, he owned a store next door, a supplement store next door. He said, don't worry, mate, competition makes you hungrier. And I thought to myself, that's not true.
Oh my God.
And they opened, and I'll be honest with you, the clothes were terrible. But they were glamorous clothes.
The whole thing was absolutely ridiculous.
It didn't really suit the area. They misread the demographic. Now, as much as people went
Did
into
they
that
even
shop,
last 3 months?
I mean, it didn't pay any bills, so.
They didn't. It was really weird. But anyway.
But what it did at that point in time, it made us think to ourselves, right, how can we improve?
How can we
offering?
stand out? How can we offer something unique? And that's something that we've always been trying to do in our business. Always, you know. We don't want to just go with the crowd. We want to offer something unique. So there is something that makes people want to come to us, regardless of what industry we're in.
That leads me on to probably one of the only kind of ones that I've really got. I've got two, but that's a great one.
Wait, we need to finish this one
sorry,
first.
I thought you had, honey.
Which is that don't get all consumed about what other people are doing. That is a big mistake in business, and it will eat you before it eats them.
100%, because for the most part, they won't even know.
They won't.
They won't even care.
And often, right? I can't tell you how many times this has happened. People will accuse us of copying them, and we accuse people of copying us, like not actually verbally or physically, but mentally. We'll be like, "Have you seen what they're doing? They're just so copying us." Now, there is number one something called coincidence. Great minds, unfortunately, I don't like accusing some people of having great minds, but great minds, they do think alike. That was naughty. But also, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, guys. And if somebody is copying what they're doing, they are saying to you, they are saying, good job.
Yeah.
You did well.
Yeah.
Don't let that consume you. Because, like I said, it will eat you before it eats them. It's not going to eat them. They don't care. They don't care. Don't let people live rent-free in your head.
Definitely.
That is the biggest mistake I think the biggest mistake that you can make in business is to be all consumed with what a competitor or somebody else who's offering the same thing as you is doing. Because if you're wasting all of your energy being concerned on that, you aren't spending your energy on growing your business.
Definitely. And your personal development, because if you're too busy looking at them, you're not focused on yourself.
Yeah. Jealousy, and that's what it comes down to. Jealousy is really never a positive thing.
I will refer back to NAF, and Rebecca looked at them as aspirational. And you wanted your salon to be as popular, as busy. You wanted your Instagram to look as aesthetically pleasing, etc.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. But I definitely felt that they were aspirational, but we weren't trying to emulate them in any way with our salon. We were very different.
The look, the feel, and everything else.
Everything very, very different.
But I would say, like, again, that's the thing. Your salon can look completely different from anyone else's, but you still want to go in the same direction. Does that make sense?
In fact, do you know what? Looking at things from the flip side of the coin, if you see something that you think is great, don't just go out and copy it. Try and if you think something is really fantastic, the way that somebody is doing something is amazing, take elements of it, but make it your own.
Look at Adidas and Nike, just for talking sake. Or, in fact, even newer than that, Under Armour and Lululemon. They looked at Nike and Adidas and thought to themselves, God, what they're doing is great. That athleisure wear, that whole thing. They just changed it. Lululemon focused more on girls, and Under Armour focused more on guys.
Niche down.
They niched down.
Mm-hmm.
Under Armour were very much sports. Lululemon was like, you can wear these yoga pants to yoga and then to the office. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? They went onto their own lane, but they're still just doing sports.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can do your nail business, but you can be alternative. You can be rock and roll. You can be country. You can be whatever you want. It doesn't have to be songs, but just find your demographic within this niche. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. God, we're actually quite smart today. I think this is going to go over 2 episodes, honey.
No.
I think so. We're at 41 minutes. We've only scratched the surface.
How many more do you think there is?
Okay, maybe 2 episodes, guys. We'll see.
But yes, I think that is a good lesson. If you see something that you think, oh wow, these people are doing something really, really excellent, take it and make it your own.
So when this clothing store, we'll call it, that opened up at the bottom of the street, it was a bit of a jumble sale. I'm kidding. I'm just inventing my thing. When they opened up, I thought to myself, right, we need to change what we're doing. We need to give a better offering. Where we were in Paisley, it was relatively deprived. Paisley's relatively deprived.
It is a deprived area.
So you can't charge what some of the places in Glasgow were doing.
Yeah, so we had our competitors were Libelula. I've never had how to say it. And
Ruby Woo.
Ruby Woo.
So they were some of the ones in Glasgow that were really rising up.
Really well known.
And then we've got these ones, these people at the bottom of the street who are offering something completely different.
They were really just spangly swimwear.
Yeah, spangly, yeah. And stuff like that. But they're the type of people who would lie. They'd be like, oh, we're sold out. You must place your order forever. So it creates this hype.
I can't do that. I can't do the lying thing. It really just doesn't sit well with me.
The thing is, we're never sold out. It's the same stuff as in the shop the whole entire time. They would just say that just to try and gain traction, which people would probably call them out, and eventually they didn't last long. So they launched, I think it was like late summer, and Rebecca and I had went away over Christmas, New Year's. We were in America, and I remember we went into a place called, I can't remember, it's a fondue place, right? And for some reason, I looked up at the ceiling. This is weird that I'm going on to this. Do you remember this?
No.
And it had ceiling tiles.
I can remember the black ones.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like we did in our boutique. And I remember looking up and I thought to myself, God, they've got black ceiling tiles, which completely changed the look of it. It was just like an old office, but it turned into this like cool restaurant. I was like, we could do that. And I said to Rebecca, let's rebrand. Let's change the salon. The boutique. Let's give it decoration. Let's change everything. And at that point in time, we weren't online. In fact, that's a lie. We were online with a company called Big Commerce, which is the clunkiest online salesy platform in the world. And we looked into different things like Shopify. At that point in time, I remember saying to Rebecca, let's just change it all. Let's go back and change it. So we literally did. We actually sacked the staff no, we didn't sack the staff. We had let one member of staff go just before Christmas because she was very naughty. And then while we were away, we said to the other staff, look, we want to close and rebrand. If you guys want to apply for the job again, you'll be first in line for sure.
Oh wait, because we were getting rid of hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you need to...
give context, sorry.
You need to give context. You can't...
At that point in time, the
sound
boutique,
like assholes here.
Yeah, we had the boutique, but we had a little hair salon in the back. You guys know that if you listen.
And all the staff were hairstylists.
But they used to help out in the boutique.
They did help out in the boutique, yes, absolutely. So the question was, did they still want to go and be hairstylists somewhere?
Yeah.
Or did they want to work as sales assistants?
And it worked out perfect. One was like, actually, I'd quite like to be a sales assistant.
Yep.
I'd like to get away from
Dale?
here. Dale.
Yep.
And the other one to Leah, she was like, I want to go to here. But she ended up getting a different job somewhere else. So I come back, we redecorated, we rebranded, we changed the sign from brown and pink, because that was back in 2014.
Brown and pink, how weird.
I know. And this was 2017, I think it was. And we went black, white, and we changed the name. It was an updated name, and we really get into the
Was
whole...
it black, white and pink?
Yeah, I've got... Funny that. Where did that come from? And the girl at the bottom of the street, hers was white with pink and gold. And I remember the day we put the new sign up, seeing on their Facebook, because this is what you do when you stalk people. Oh, imitation is the biggest form of flattery. Okay, because we used the colour white. Sure. Anyway,
they literally sold spangly neon swimwear.
My point to that
we sold
is
normal clothes.
We changed our offering to be more streamlined, to fit in with the area slightly more. But the biggest thing was we launched a Shopify store. Now, if I should have, Chris knows everything about technology. Why didn't I find Shopify years before that? Because that put us on this massive trampoline, this massive catapult, because we weren't just selling clothes that were geared towards a deprived area. We were selling those lower priced clothes all around the UK, and we were sending out hundreds every day.
It was the shoes. It was goddamn shoes we sent.
Shoes we used to sell all the time.
So many.
The
goddamn
DPD guy
shoes.
came, he started coming to us because we signed up for a DPD account, and the guy would come and we start.
We're still on the same DVD account.
I know. And we start with 10 parcels, then 20 parcels, then 50 parcels someday, and they would come in on Monday and be like, "Oh God, what have I got?" And it would just be this pile of parcels. And I always think to myself, one of the biggest mistakes, why did we start with big commerce? Why didn't we just go with Shopify, which was fast becoming the biggest one?
Evolution though, isn't it?
It is wild. And Shopify, guys, if you ever want to create your own store, go on to Shopify. It's the easiest thing to do.
Somebody messaged me recently about Shopify, another business, business owner.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would for sure. It's just so intuitive, and there's reasons that some of the biggest companies in the world,
still use Shopify.
I'm sure it's kind of very much bare bones, that they use and they build everything else up. But yeah,
even now, the theme we're currently using on Shopify was built by me a couple of years ago. We've added a lot of stuff to it and a lot of personalization because we have someone in who can do that type of thing now. For me, it was the kind of end of my talent, but you can create a beautiful website.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's an app to plug in for everything.
Everything.
Absolutely.
You want it. Yeah. So that was one thing for me is don't ever be stuck in your way. Use the competition as a springboard. And yeah, for sure. Find what works for you and then really go for it. Always be true to yourself. See this line about things not being in stock and stuff like that. I know you guys think we do. It's just our stock's terrible.
No, we really don't. We're out of stock for that long that I think they know.
Yeah. But yeah, don't lie to people. That's a big thing because you will get caught out.
Eventually.
All right.
Hopefully.
So let's go on to your list again. This is definitely going to be 2 parts for sure.
There's another one as well that I thought of.
We'll keep thinking of it and we'll go back to it, right? Do you need a pen and a paper or something? Anyway, not taking customer details.
God.
Now, everyone's thinking to themselves, wait, what?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say what you'll notice is not on our list of mistakes is not having an online booking system because, again, we were so early in having. We had an online booking system. Well, not online, but we had a
digital.
We had a digital diary in 2012.
Yes.
Right.
And that was basically.
Think about how long ago that was.
I just also want to say, back then, the Wi-Fi connection in our salon was terrible, but we had to connect to the pub across the street quite often.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. I forgot about that.
The funny thing is, we could reach the pub across the street, but we couldn't reach our own Wi-Fi, and they were charging 5 times the amount because we're stuck in our
So yeah, we had a digital diary back then, and as soon as online diaries became a thing, we jumped on that. But the weirdest thing is, we didn't take any details.
Oh, you take the customer's name.
That's not even a detail.
And quite often...
Hi, Mickey Mouse here.
Because you would identify customers... I'll tell you a story in a second. Because you would identify customers in a certain way, sometimes what you would write down is what you thought their name was, because you wanted to be, I remember this customer's name, and you would write down the wrong name, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, I don't know, Claire is waiting for Susan to come in. Susan walks in, but it's not really Susan, it's Janice. And they're like, oh, you're not in the diary. And there was a big confusion and stuff like that. Anyway, sorry, just real quick. you remember what I was talking recently about? We used to do DVDs in the van.
Yes.
So what we used to do is, so we knew what DVD was going out, so we'd put it in for the night it was supposed to come back, so you could score it off type thing. You put in the name of the DVD, and then you put in the customer's name. Now, my dad had a terrible memory and could never remember anyone's name. So he had nicknames for everyone.
Right.
So it could be Girl with Big Dog. That's it. Or it could be Moonface Willow Crescent.
Moonface?
This girl, she was a cute little girl, but she had this big round face, and my dad used to call her Moonface. Yeah, because she looked like the moon, you know?
Harry.
And that's just the way my dad rolled. And if I'm honest with you, I continued that. I absolutely continued that. I now reference customers when they come in. I'm thinking to myself, right, how do I know them? What could their name possibly be? Please be picking up something so I can see the bag and the name on it. Or where do you work? You know, your staff uniform, stuff like that. Yeah,
Yes.
carry on.
Yes. But yeah, how crazy. We didn't take any details, which meant that if we needed to change them, we couldn't because we couldn't phone them.
Yeah.
If they were running late, we couldn't phone them. Anything at all.
Member of staff sick, off.
Couldn't call them.
Nope.
Nope.
Couldn't call them. And do you want to tell us like how this came around? Like why we kind of decided maybe we should start taking details?
Was it not Jennifer?
Yeah.
Jennifer was like, so we'll get onto that in the next episode because apparently this is going to two things. I was very against non-productive members of staff. But then when we decided to hire a receptionist, we brought in Jennifer, who was a very experienced receptionist, worked in hotels. And this first thing she was like, you don't take their details? Because we were moving.
Migrating from one system
to another. And Jennifer was having to do it manually. And
so shifting.
There was probably a way to just export it and do it. Anyway. And she was absolutely bemused by the fact that we didn't take any customer details.
Moreover, if I was booking a customer in, I would just take their name. I'd just robotic, Chris, what's your name? And I'll just take it. And Jennifer would be screaming from someplace else. Get an email address, a telephone number, their next of kin, their son's name, and a password, date of birth,
national insurance number,
last 4 your credit card. You know, and it does make sense. So, for instance, let's bring it back to you. If you're a nail tech right now, if for some reason, I don't know, you fall sick or something like that, and you have to contact your customer, how do you contact them?
I think nowadays, because even if people don't have booking systems, right, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be via social media.
Yes.
They have that to fall on. And I guess we had Facebook, but if somebody just called up or walked in, which did happen a lot, there was no way of doing anything. And also back then, it wasn't like people were on their phones as much as they are now. A Facebook notification could go unread for days.
Yeah. And what you find is now people have nicknames on Facebook because they don't want real people to find them.
Especially if they're teachers and the police, etc., etc. So, yeah.
It's like I keep saying your brother-in-law. Our brother-in-law. Sorry, that's weird because it's weird that it's your sister that's married and it's, yeah. Anyway, his name on social media is this completely just made up name because he's a teacher, you know?
Very common for teachers.
Yeah. And we know who he is. But it doesn't make any sense. Like, imagine introducing your Instagram as that's me.
Completely different name.
Everyone's like, I'm sorry, what? And that's the thing. So if you know this person's name as, I don't know, Captain Hook, and you go search, you know, you start typing in Captain, like, their name on Instagram is going to be completely different.
Talking of names, I realised the craziest thing, right, this week. Okay. So we were talking about with Anna, the place that she used to work, everybody got given a name.
Oh, I love that.
Right, it's common in certain
salons, beauty industry,
especially like upper market, well-known ones, right? Yeah. And I never worked out why it was. And Anna said, "I think it's because that means that everybody has a different name." Oh no, I've worked out exactly why it is.
Go on.
Because it's exclusive to the service industry. So beauty therapists, nail technicians, etc., hairdressers. It's so that.
Oh, I get it.
You've got it. You just got it, haven't you?
So let me just.
You just got it, right? Let me see if you got it.
If you're listening at home, I need you guys. Like, if you're listening on YouTube, comment right now. Don't just pause the pod and comment what you think the answer is to this.
If you've worked in a salon or you are a salon owner, I reckon you'll get this a lot faster.
Right, I've just got it. It's because if they say my name is Christopher Costello, you just go look for them if they were to leave.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
If that's your favourite barber, you just go look for it. If that's your favourite beauty.
So the business, so goddamn clever.
That's so good.
So clever, is protecting their back.
The funny thing is I
don't care what anyone says if it's to do with anything else. That is the reason.
That's a great reason. That is a great. So when we moved upstairs, we had Jennifer who started working
We
for
had
us.
3 Jennifers.
We had 3 Jennifers all the time, same time. So I said to one, I was like,
3 Jens.
yeah, I just said, pick your own name. Pick a name. You can be different.
Yeah, so we had Jennifer, Jenny, and Jay.
And we changed,
We
Jay.
changed
we
their
gave it
name to Jay. But that was only because we genuinely had three
Yeah.
Jens.
Yeah.
Which we couldn't have.
Also, if someone's name is hard to spell, hard to pronounce, it gives customers like that barrier to entry.
Yeah,
they're
but
less
give
likely to
yeah.
ask for them.
We had someone whose name was hard to spell and hard to pronounce. We knew that our customers were never going to know how to say her name and they would get confused. So we're like, can we think of like a nickname which is like your name? So we did just a shortened version of her name, which was really pretty.
And the funny thing, and everyone calls
and now
her
that's
that.
what she's known as.
I know.
And nobody ever called her that before, which is kind of crazy. And I think it's a really pretty name. But yeah, so epiphany. Ending the podcast on that epiphany that I had.
That's
and I was like,
one.
hang on a minute, that's why they do it. And
That's
I
a
can't
great one.
believe I never realised that before.
So if you have commented and you are right, please then put something underneath it to be like,
And if
yes,
you
I was
work
right.
in one of these places,
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
realise that is why they're doing it, to protect their back, which is absolutely fair enough. And we will talk about this in the next episode.
Do you know how I got it?
How?
It's because you said high end. And as soon as you said high end, I thought of a gentleman's club. Not that I've ever been to a gentleman's club, but I thought those girls will have it.
You've never been?
No, honey.
Never been to a gentleman's club?
No.
Strip club?
Oh, yeah, strip club.
That's what a gentleman's club is.
Not what I was thinking. Anyway, I was thinking they'll have a fake name and it's so you can't find them on social media.
Yeah, but
And
that's not so that you can go and get a lap dance at home.
I think it is, honey.
I don't think so. I don't think they're offering lap dances at home, but maybe they are.
I don't know. Anyway, that's what I thought. So there you go. That's
You
how
got
it
to
came
it.
around.
Yeah.
That's a great one. Thank you for sharing that with us.
That is, but that's so they don't go do homers, or if they leave, they can't find them.
Nice.
So obvious.
So good.
Well, I was talking to Anna, and Anna said that when she was thinking about leaving, she realised, oh, yeah, people aren't going to be able to find who I am. Then it suddenly all clicked with me. I was like, oh, that's why they do
Her name's actually Veronica. You know that?
Who?
Alice.
it.
Anyway, that was a good pod, and we've got tons left, so it's definitely going to be a 2-parter.
Yep.
And that helps us out because we are busy. So if we can bash out 2 today, there you go. Chucking a rain outside, so we're not going to go do anything else, are we?
Well, I'm going to go and do some DIY, but other than that.
Yeah.
And we started an hour earlier today.
Excellent, because I woke Rebecca up an hour earlier. We've not even spoken about Dakota and his bad behaviour just now.
No, we'll speak about that in the next episode. You'll be saying, what have we been doing this week? And I will say, not sleeping.
Okay, so plans for this day, honey? DIY, you were saying? New training academy. We're finishing the new furniture, all custom new furniture, getting that finished today.
It's a smaller training academy, but it is locale. It is with us here at Nail Order HQ, and I think that is much better.
Plan for opening date?
July
July 1st?
Yeah, it's July.
Yep. Okay, so we're going to open a new training academy here, close to the
I think
warehouse.
first training course that we're going to be doing is, I can't even say too much. It's not being offered to people, it's for the staff.
Oh, how interesting. On that note, honey, you want to get us the heck out of here?
Sure.
So please get us out of here.
As always, guys, if you enjoyed that, please give us a thumbs up, comment below what we should talk about next, and be sure to subscribe to be notified when we release our next episode.
Soon to live alone Sunday, all the tea getting spilled. Nail text, talking game, keeping it real, y'all gon' feel. From designs to the drama, every secret they reveal. Stay sharp, stay tuned, man, you know it's the deal.